further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by the editor-in-chief of Al-Akhbar newspaper, Dr. Osama Saeed. Dr. Saeed, thank you for joining us and being on Qnews. How do you view the announcement by Britain, Canada and Australia to officially recognize the state of Palestine?
Of course, this step is a victory. Is a victory to stop the occupation, and it is such a huge victory, as I said, for Palestine, and an important step to start the process of recognizing Palestine as a state. And it is a reaffirmation that Israel's tactics and strategies to end the dream of a Palestinian state doesn't actually make the countries lose hope, but pushes them further to reach a two-state solution and reach a ceasefire. And they now think that this is the only solution to reach and achieve lasting peace. And this also shows that Israel's and USA's goals and objectives and strategies aren't really cutting it anymore now. And even the countries that used to support Israel for a long time have changed their stance and changed their decisions, and they took Palestine's side and their legitimate rights side and have recognized Palestine formally.
Well, do you think that will the European recognitions of the state of Palestine lead to Palestine being granted full membership in the United Nations, or are we being a bit too hopeful?
Of course, this step it is kind of a pressure on the international community and the United Nations to grant Palestine full membership. So, of course, the USA will try to have some obstacles in the way for this in the solution through the veto in the Security Council, but the countries keep on taking stronger stances every day, and we have a lot of countries, around 150 countries or more around the world that support and recognize Palestine as a state. And so this is actually more than 3/4 of the world countries, and so this is such a large number that could push and pressure the USA to reconsider their stance and their support for Israel, and to start taking a step towards changing its opposition to having Palestine as a state. And so I think this is such a breakthrough in the process of recognizing Palestine formally.
Well, could there be surprises during tomorrow's two-state solution meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly? It is sponsored by France and Saudi Arabia. What do you think will be the outcome of this meeting?
And a surprise from Israel or from the USA?
From that meeting, talking about a two-state solution, do you think it will yield with some tangible results?
Yes, I think that this meeting is such an important card, basically an important way to pressure, because this is the most important event up till now to support the two-state solution. And so I think this is such a victory and a breakthrough with the Palestine case. And I think also that expanding the horizon of the countries recognizing Palestine could actually increase tomorrow, especially that the Western and major countries now are taking some strategies and that they were postponing the recognition of Palestine, but now they officially recognize it, and maybe we will have more of that tomorrow, and more countries will take Palestine's side, and we will reach a major recognition of Palestine as a state, and we maybe will reach a full recognition.
Well, we've seen the reactions by Yair Lapid and Benny Gantz. How do you assess Israel's reaction to the European recognition of the state of Palestine?
First of all, this was very expected from the Israeli government side that are trying to pressure and counter fight the Western countries when they are trying to pressure Israel and recognize Palestine. And so we saw how Israel tried to justify their operations and their expansion in the West Bank as a reaction to Western countries recognizing Palestine. And so I think, in my opinion, this was a bad move from Israel's side, because Israel cannot punish the whole world. It cannot challenge the will of all the countries around the world. And so Israel has to change its strategy and its tactics that it's been using for years, which is trying to deny the Palestinians their legitimate rights and to be free of the occupation. And so Israel has to think about and consider taking the peace path and accepting the Palestinians' rights to be free of an occupation and reaching a two-state solution, considering it the only solution to reach a lasting peace in the Middle East. And so now the Israeli government has to face the moment of truth, that all the other solutions, the military solutions and the forceful solutions and the atrocities that it's doing are in vain now. It is actually a burden on the Israeli policy now, and it pushed even Israel supporters to change their stance. And so Israel's government needs to reconsider their actions and not follow the same strategy that they have been following for years now, that led us to this war and the suffering that the Middle East is living in.
Dr. Saeed, Israeli ground operations are continuously taking place in Gaza. Do you think that these recognitions could help slow these ground operations or stop the war in Gaza? Or do you think it will probably have an opposite reaction, and maybe the Israeli ground operations will intensify before any tangible results could be taken during the UN General Assembly?
In the short term, of course, Israel will try to keep on with its operations and try to escalate the operations and expand them in a reaction, saying that they do not care for the international pressures and they don't really comply to the recognition. And so maybe they will try to expand their settlements and the military operations in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. But maybe for the long term, I think that these international decisions and recognizing Palestine as a state will have a positive effect in changing the situation in the Middle East, and to reaffirm that the Palestinians have rights and that they will have even more support from the countries. And so Israel will realize that it cannot challenge the whole world without an end, and that it will not hold on to its strategies and brutal actions, and will have to reconsider at least for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can the global anger, the public opinion, the marches, the protests against Israel be used to secure the Palestinian people's legitimate rights, along with the recognition of many states, 75% of the member states of the UN?
In the international court, and we need more pressure on having Israel face international courts. There needs to be an international will to force Israel to comply to the international law, stop the genocide in Gaza, and stop the settlements also. And so there needs to be international sanctions denying Israel the participation in lots of international organizations and meetings, and in addition to taking to imposing punishments and sanctions on Israel, and lessening their diplomatic recognition. And so maybe then Israel will feel like it is excluded and alone. And so maybe this will play an important role in changing Israel's addresses and strategies that it has been doing for a long time.